Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of InvoTalks powered by InvoZone, a software service provider. Invo Games and InvoBlogs. Invo Games for the game development and InvoBlogs for the blockchain development. And I'm your host, Zofishan Iman, a growth manager at InvoZone. And today's episode is going to be super exciting and it's going to be very amazing because our today's guest is Oliver Wolff, who is a product manager at Kind with us. Hi, Oliver. How are you?
Good. See, how are you?
I'm doing great. So thank you so much for coming. And it was for our audience, please tell us about yourself, and then we will be kicking start from there. And yeah, please.
Cool. Like I said, my name's Oliver. I reside in Sydney, Australia, born and raised here. I guess I've had a few product manager roles in the past. One at a company called YSEC, which was making software for freight forwarding and logistic providers. Then an interesting fintech, financial technology company in the buy now, pay later space called Zip. And now I've jumped ship out of finance and freight forwarding to Kind, which I guess we're going to get stuck into. But I've been here for just about a year, but a lot has changed in that year.
Oh, okay, great. So I was going through your LinkedIn and I get to know that you are a music maniac. So which bands do you like follow? I'm a music maniac too. So which bands do you follow?
I say that because I'd like people to know what I do outside of work and what keeps me going. Like music, I listen to music all day. I go to a lot of live music. Some of my favorite bands are Australian bands, so I'm not sure how much of the audience will know. Some of them are like Tame Impala, which is a really big psychedelic rock band here in Australia. Yeah, a lot of in the rock genre that I like.
Do you play as well? I mean,
I used to play in school. I haven't played since then. I usually just am more of a listener and consumer, but I spend all my spare time around music, and I'm in awe of those people who play.
oh wow, amazing. So if you have to play, so what is your favorite instrument?
I would probably play the drums. I don't know. There's just so much ability to them, and they really keep the tempo of the band. And without them, especially in a rock band, like nothing. They're nothing without the drummer.
Okay, great. Drama is such a enthusiastic and passionate. It's been very passionate when drums are beating. So let's shift our focus to Kind again. And for our audience, please explain how Kind is democratizing software engineering and tell us about the overall work Kind is doing in this space.
Sure. Well, I think it's easy to explain what Kind does, what we are striving for, like what's our vision and where we are now. So I guess I'll start with like what we envision a platform to be. And I always like to start off with like our purpose. Our purpose is to create a world with more founders, but it's easy to say. And how we're doing that is basically creating a platform that SaaS companies, software service companies can get started. And what I mean by that is a lot of SaaS companies, they have to build authentication, user management, a way for their users to log in. They usually have different pricing tiers. It might be free, startup, premium, you can call it what you want, different features under them, and they have to process payments on a usually recurring basis. They need to offer support to their customers, analytics. That's just the start of it. There's so many things that a lot of common SaaS products, companies use. And there's a lot of providers out there that provide services for them. Like there's quite big players in the authentication user management space, Okta or Zero. I also should have mentioned we also want to offer feature flagging. There's people like Launch Darkly, and there's many reasons why SaaS companies do feature flagging and experimentation. There's support players like Zendesk or Intercom, and so many analytic players, billing players like ChargeBee, even payment processors, but that's a whole story. But when you integrate with all these different providers, if you do so, there's so many things you have to do to connect the dots just to see when a last customer logged in, when they last paid their bill, just to get an understanding of who the customer is when you speak to them in support, there's so much value to connecting all the dots, and you have to manage all those different points. You have to build bespoke integrations between them all. And it's just really difficult and costly. So we're building a platform that satisfies what most SaaS companies need most of the time, and basically want to offer that off the bat to them through our SDK so they can focus on their unique service, whether it be a social media for pets, whether it be a company that enables AI in other companies, whatever your unique service be, let us handle the common ground of what you need to build, get your app up and running so you can focus and your engineers can focus on unique service.
Yeah.
What we have now at the moment is a fully fleshed out authentication and user management offering. And we're very close to releasing our first billing management offering. And then we're just going to keep working our way towards this vision of having support and feature flagging and analytics. But we're getting there. We've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, amazing. Since you mentioned that it's a vast platform, so I was just curious, what made you think? What is the story behind Kind, and how did you build? Kind from the ground up, and how did you manage the team, and how did you build the team, and what is the process of developing the entire product? Because it's a huge product. You mentioned a couple of, not a couple of, but a lot of features that yeah. So how did you do that?
Great question. So there's 3 co-founders, 2 are engineers. They're both like CTOs. They both play, one's front end, one back end guru. They're 2 brains in one. And the other co-founder, the third co-founder, he's CEO and he came from a design background. He was at Atlassian and another company called Campaign Monitor and Shopify. He kept seeing the same story over and over again between them, where they would build an authentication themselves and then billing and then feature flags and analytics and all these problems with it. And he kept seeing over and over again. And then he also came across Shopify, which is basically this all-encompass way for you to build an e-commerce store. But then you focus on your inventory, your branding. So he sort of thought, why doesn't someone come with like a common compounding product for these common services that people need with SaaS? Because we're just doing it over and over again. And the 2 other co-founders who are engineers, they were working together at Campaign Monitor together with the third co-founder, and they're working on something on the side, building their own side project. And they kept thinking, well, I have to build authentication myself or use these other providers, but then connect that other provider to billing. And like, why doesn't someone just have an amalgamate together? So they all came up with the same idea. Why isn't there infrastructure or platform that does this? And that's how they landed on Kind. I think the second part of your question was about team, how we like started build a team. So you had the 3 co-founders, then there was basically all these different engineers that joined. I came along maybe midway, like when we had about 20 people in the team. And basically we built up all these engineers, and we also touch on something, how we work internally, where we have autonomy and alignment, where autonomy being, actually I'll start with alignment. We have these like goals that we want to achieve, but how we go about implementing those goals, every engineer can pick apart different tasks they want to do. But until I came in, it was a lot of autonomy and less alignment. And we realized that there's so many features, there's so many things we want to do, but someone just needed to come in and have laser focus on what our customers want and just build that and then focus on the next thing and keep working at it. So yeah, I came in to basically help prioritize on what is most valuable for our customers. Around just before me as well, there was a sales and support expert, there's a marketing person, there's a finance person, but most of our team is basically engineers, because we are building an engineering product after all. And these engineers are amazing. They can put on the customer hat and think of what our customers want and just build it without even me even seeing the early designs out in the flesh, because they have all amazing ideas and can think of the customer and build awesome products without my involvement.
Okay, amazing. So, considering it's a very unique idea, so in developing such a huge platform, what difficulties you faced during its development, and how did you manage it? How did you manage the team as well during the development processes? Because while developing a platform, there are some stages, and there is an ideation phase, and then there is design, and then development, pre-production, post-production. So how did you manage all these things? So Isn't it difficult being you are a product manager? So isn't it difficult managing everything all at once? Isn't it it's a pressure on your head?
Yeah. I can touch upon the first part, which is just some difficulties we face, and we still always face difficulties. We're not perfect in how we basically our ways of working, because we have such a large goal and we have so many customers with lots of different requests. We always say internally, we don't want to. We suffer from indigestion, not starvation. We suffer from too many things we want to do. We want to build upon them all at once, and when we try to do that, we start to do nothing because we just spread ourselves too thin. And that's why I help a lot of just like, this is what our customers want, and this is what we should build. But because as well we have an authentication user management, we are getting a lot of traction with a lot of customers, but a lot of those customers also want a lot of stuff, and that delves into complex use cases that maybe not everybody wants, but a good chunk wants. But also, we could spend that time building up a horizontal platform rather than deep vertical into authentication, because we want to get out billing, and then we want to get out analytics and support. And our value we bring is a compound of all those things. If you want a really complex authentication, there's other players out there. They come at lots of drastic different prices. We won't get into that. But if you want a really comprehensive solution of authentication and don't want to build yourself, there's other providers out there that may solve your use case. So we always have to focus where our value is, and that value is building what most SaaS people need most of the time. And then, so it's a constant juggle between more unique cases to solve in a specific area versus building along the long-term roadmap. And we're very lean. We are a mighty nimble team that whenever we get new information, we jump into a quick huddle or Slack conversation and discuss refocusing our ideas. What should we focus on based on new data we get? There was a second part to your question as well, and I forgot what it was. Do you mind repeating what it was? I think it was about, yeah. Actually, do you mind repeating what it was?
Well, the first was about the difficulties you faced in the development, and then the second part was about how you manage the team and how you manage the pressure while handling while the development phase.
Yeah, so going back to my point before about autonomy and alignment, we have a process, what we call is swarms. It's based off sprints, but it's not the exact same thing. So we all get into a room, either the engineering managers, which are the co-founders, head of design and CEO, and we're like, okay, what are actually some of the bets we want to do? Where do we think we should focus our efforts? And once we've all aligned on that, we think of all the initiatives we need to achieve that. And then we think, okay, what's in a reasonable time period that we won't feel stretched to get this done in time? Could be 6 weeks, one time. The next could be 7. The one after that could be 5. It's not a constant time bound. And then we go ahead and get cracking at it. But we call them bets because we know a lot of the time, if we set it as a goal, we always strive for 150% of what our capacity is, but we make good strides towards achieving that, but we don't reach it. And a lot of time we don't achieve it. But when we call it bets because we want to aim our focus towards it, but we may not achieve it in that single swarm. We may achieve it in the next one. So we have this laser focus of this idea we want to focus on. And also we call it bets because, like I said, our engineers are experts in what our customers want, and they can put on the customer hat. So if they come across an insight, whether it's support ticket or just sitting on a user interview of this thing that a lot of customers want, and it takes them 1 hour to do, and we didn't say we want to achieve this as a bet or task in this one, we say to them, go for it, go and build it, because that will have immense value to the customer. So like I said, there's a lot of times where I don't see features that get out to our customers until they're out in the wild, because that engineer is communicated with the designer and communicated with our content writer who writes like the development documentation, and it just gets out there and it's a kick-ass product. So that's how we have a really large velocity of the stuff we get out, because everybody has the autonomy to get out stuff. And when someone needs to reach out to someone to just understand, test it, or understand where it's focused, they know who to reach out to. But sometimes they'll just release a product without me having my eyes on it, and it's great.
Oh wow, amazing! Such an insightful information. So I just have a question. Who is your targeted audience, or maybe targeted customer client base?
So our targeted audience is early stage startups, either those in the idea phase but haven't implemented it, or are very much in the implementation phase. Or it could be people who have a prototype and they've built it on some other platform. Maybe it's no code, but they've sort of got to a stage where they know it won't scale and they have to look at how they can get it to the next level and use infrastructure that will stand the test of time with them. So it's more people in that early stage where they're trying to get their product up and running really quickly.
Okay, great.
But that could be any vertical, but it's SaaS companies, and it could be B2B or B2C, but it's mostly those people in the early stage of their SaaS company journey.
Okay, amazing. Because among our audience, there are a lot of people who are early startups who are in their if somebody is building something who's in product phase, so they can contact you. Great. So yeah. So
We even love people reaching out to us just to, may not even be the product, but we want to connect them with someone else who's a customer of ours, because we believe, like, the founder community, there's one thing for our software product, but you connect them with other people who may know some person who's an investor or subject matter expert, or could help them just with a develop agency. And that's why what we feel is really powerful in the startup ecosystem. It's not just the products, it's the people and the people you network with. So you can come to us even if you don't need to use our product, but you just want to bounce an idea off us. That's what we're here for.
yes, it's true and it's amazing. So could you please share your experience with the InvoZone and how do you find us and how has your journey been so far with us? And
So to give context, before we reached out to you, we have SDKs for all different programming languages. That's part of our strategy, whether it be front end or back end or whatever it may be. We reached out to InvoZone to help us enhance our Elixir SDK. That process was so smooth, all the way from just giving you a brief of what we wanted to do, very much communication throughout the process, giving status updates. When some estimate may be pushed out by a day, you gave us warning. That's what we believe in a good partner. It's just communication, first of all, because we know as you get into the nitty-gritties of development, there may be something that you didn't foresee and it'll take maybe half a day or a day longer or a week. That's fine. As long as you communicate with us so we can work around it, that is key. And the code quality was absolutely high bar. So I don't believe there was many rounds of testing back and forth because that code quality was already really, really superior. But the communication was top notch, and that's what we look for in a partner.
next question would be is Kind where you envisioned it to be right now?
Well, I would always say we envision it to be probably 5 months in. We always try to we have this really I'm trying to think of the right word. It just escaped my head. Like the goals we have and where we envision to be is always 50% more what we think is actually possible. Like we have super really high bar. Like we have goals that we think are really pushing the limits of what we can do. And we're probably 5 months where we thought we'll be, but that's fine because we have really audacious. That's the word I was thinking for. Audacious goals. So yeah, we're probably 5 months behind where we want to be, but that's fine because we have goals that we really make audacious for a reason.
Yeah, since you have a passion, since you have a goal, since you have set the milestones, so you can reach those. You can reach those as well. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, so where do you see in the next 5 to 10 years maybe?
Yeah. So I see us in 5 years of actually having a horizontal platform. And I can say that again, it offers a place where you can configure for your application, your Kind application, authentication, user management, feature flags, billing management and processing, support, analytics, maybe some revenue operations stuff where you can have some smart analytics to see who can you bump to get on a higher plan or grow some numbers. Maybe it's a customer data platform. Maybe that's those two things in the 10 mark because we don't know what we will understand about our customers and all these use cases in 5 years. We may even have a completely new product that pivots to like a cool tech merch, that throws cool parties for the tech community and doesn't actually have a product, but we bring a service where we can connect other founders. Because like I said, our purpose is to create a world with more founders. maybe we'll learn something and not have a product. We'll just have a space where you can connect one founder with another, because that's a power in itself. I guess one thing that also in that 5-year mark is we want to have a marketplace so other people can build stuff on Kime, just like you see in common big players like Atlassian Marketplace or Shopify or Xero. So people can build on top of it, and that can give value to other customers. A lot of things. We don't know where we'll be in 5 years, and I'm excited to watch this video in 5 years and be like, wow, like that was completely wrong. We're in a totally different trajectory. But I'm very excited for what the next 5 years or 10 years withholds for Kime.
Oh, amazing. And it's always been so amazing to see someone very excited and passionate about their goals. And I really wish and I really hope that you get what you are wishing for and what you are struggling for. And thank you so much, Oliver, for giving us your precious time. It was a lovely conversation with you, and we would love to have you again at InvoTalks.
No worries. It was lovely to chat with you, Z.